Now, okay, everyone, listen up. So, what do you guys get for the home sales? What do you get for the home sales, guys? Mike, what did you get for the home sales?
I don't remember.
You don't remember? You don't write your stuff down?
I thought we did, but apparently we didn't.
356. 356. Now, remember, no cheating allowed. Okay. Don't copy. Okay. So, okay, now, class. Let's say, for argument's sake, it's 356. Strong rebound. Now, you know, there's a lot of discussion right now about whether there are glimmers of hope. Remember, however, just because it's no longer falling is not the same thing as a strong rebound. Does everybody understand? It can bounce along the bottom for a while. And that's where we get all this discussion about what kind of recovery can we expect. Is it going to be a V? Strong down, strong up? Or is it going to be an L, which is down and then everyone wonders, well, will the L ever turn into a J? And then maybe a U? You know, these are just, you know. But we're really bouncing along the bottom here, aren't we? And remember, there's always noise in the data. Some months it's up, some months it's down. That doesn't necessarily set a trend. You can see, for a trend to develop, you need a while to really see a trend. All right, what was the next number I wanted you to get? And what number did you get for the private borrowing?
Negative 550. Negative 552. 558.
All right. Negative 5 something, 500 something. Did anyone get a different number? Okay, let's say it is negative 500. But, and let me put that on the screen because I think that is interesting. Let's say it is negative 500. Let's say it's negative anything. What is negative borrowing? People are repaying, exactly. As Mara said, people are repaying. Now, look at the historical trend. We've never been in that place before, where the repayments are now exceeding the new borrowing. Very, you know, does everybody understand? Uncharted territory here. Now, there are a couple of things we ought to think about. Have we been in a banking crisis? Yes. Some of the biggest banks and some of the smaller banks are in trouble. What does that have to do with their balance sheets? In other words, if you look over there, that's just a balance sheet. How might those banks have gotten into trouble looking at the balance sheet that's on that easel over there? In other words, you might say to me, well, Mike, it probably means that their liabilities are fixed, and that's true because the liabilities are the deposits, so those are fixed, and maybe their assets have shrunk in value. What kind of assets of the banks, for instance, might have shrunk in value that have been talked about a lot lately? For instance, Teresa.
Bad loans.
Bad loans, especially what kind of? Well, there's some derivatives, and there's also, remember when these mortgages were turned into securities, they were valued at a certain level. And let's say they were valued at $100. And now they're valued at $30. Different story, right? What's happened to the asset? It shrunk. And therefore, is it conceivable that if the assets shrink enough, the bank is not solvent? What does it mean by solvent? By solvent means, if it's solvent, it means assets are larger than liabilities. If it's not solvent, obviously it means the liabilities exceed the assets. And so that is apparently the case with some banks. It's apparently the case with some people, right? If you have a house, if your house is your major asset, and the house is $300,000 in value, and the mortgage is still $500,000, you're no longer solvent. Some people might say technically bankrupt. Now, you're still collecting revenue, maybe you're still employed, you're meeting your bills, but your wealth is now a negative number. See? And so when you think about the banking system, or you think about AIG, or you think about even General Motors, or any of these other firms, that's what's happening to so many of them. With the banks particularly, it's not so much a question of the revenues not coming in, it's a question of them being heavily invested in assets whose values have shrunk. See? Everybody?